Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with my all achievements guide to the Unmoored World in Dragon's Dogma 2. Now I want to start, of course, by giving a big spoiler warning. The Unmoored World, what I'm discussing and covering here in this video, is the end game for Dragon's Dogma 2. So if you don't want to be spoiled, if you don't want to know anything about the end game and how it progresses, then this is your opportunity to bail out. Because what I'm going to do is very explicitly and very specifically tell you what you need to do, show you the missions, the quests, the enemies, everything that you need to do to unlock all of the achievements that are associated exclusively with the Unmoored World. And this ties into the endings of Dragon's Dogma 2. So if you don't want to be spoiled, jump out now because we're about to get into it. There are 7 achievements for a total of 270 gamer score that are only obtainable by entering into the Unmoored World. And so what I'm going to do in this video is focus on how to get all of those achievements as quickly, as efficiently as possible. What this video is not is a 100% completion guide to the Unmoored World. There's a ton to do here. There's a lot of cool armor and unique items and a lot of other stuff that you can do here. Enemies to go fight, little dungeons to explore. The Unmoored World part of the game opens up a whole lot more of the game, and you should absolutely go explore it. If you're liking Dragon's Dogma 2, this is kind of your last chance to do so before New Game Plus, so have at it. But if you instead want kind of a trimmed down, lean, efficient, hey, what do I need to do to get these achievements here? Maybe you're halfway through the game and you're liking it, but you've heard of the Unmoored World and you're a little bit, I don't know, intimidated by it. How am I going to do it? What do I need in order to prep for it? That's what this video is going to provide. To unlock all of those achievements in the Unmoored World, there's basically 2 things that we need to do, 2 categories of things that we need to do. We need to complete 4 combat quests, and we need to complete 4 fetch quests. And I'll talk about each of them in detail. This video, it is a bit longer, so I am going to split it into 2 parts. This first video is focusing on the 4 combat quests, and the second video will focus on the 4 fetch quests. Before we get there, though, there are some things that you will want to do that will make your time much easier in the Unmoored World. Things that you can do in the base game before reaching end game to prepare for this journey. The first thing, it's kind of a story requirement. The Arbor Heart in the Elf area, the Elf City that's up in the north, up above Melv. You absolutely want to go there and complete all of the quests associated with that area, including saving the Arbor Heart, the tree. And that quest chain, I won't spoil it, but just to give you some idea of what you need to do, you need to talk to a number of characters, you need to help somebody with some archery training, you need to make a rescue in a cave, and then you also need to save the tree itself. And that involves a lot of back and forth in Bakbatal. So it is a little bit of an end game thing. You need to have progressed to that part of the story, and you need to basically acquire some material from a mine that will then be used to restore the health of the Arbor Heart, of the sacred tree in the town. If you've done that, you're in good shape in terms of having that quest ready for the Unmoored World. Another thing that we want to make sure we take care of is giving 3 newt liquors to Lamond. He is the Wayfarer instructor that we meet once again very late game in the volcanic island area. If you're going for a full achievement playthrough, you're gonna know who this character is. But if you don't, and if you just want to know to have him available in the Unmoored World for his part of the story, you need to acquire 3 newt liquor. A little bit of a tough item to acquire. There are only a limited number of these items and a limited way of getting them. But look that up and how to get them, and make sure that you give those to him and you learn the warfarer profession, vocation. If you have that, you've already talked to him, so you're good to go. And that will come up later on in our journey through the Unmoored World as well. Another thing that you can do to help you on your way is to disable Talos. This is the big statue that comes to life and starts walking. This is close to the end game part of the story. And you want to make sure you take that thing out as soon as possible and know where you did it. You'll need to interact with it at a certain part in the Unmoored World, and it will be in the same place that you defeated it. One of the things that you should be doing for an achievement in the base game is defeating that statue as quickly as possible. And you want to do that with an unmaking arrow. And if you defeat it with an unmaking arrow, even if you shoot it in the water, it walks to a preset place and then stops there to give you an achievement for defeating the statue quickly. And then it will be there in the Unmoored World as well. So if you don't do that, if you ended up having a long battle and you have to chase it, just know where it is because you'll need it for part of this journey. And then what about some items that we can bring to make our journey much easier? The first thing you'll want are a number of fairy stones. If you have about 10 or 12 fairy stones, that would be plenty. The more the better. There is a lot of back and forth, and the more fast travel you can do, the freer you can be with your fast travel will be beneficial, which we'll explain the mechanics of later. But if you've got 10 to 12, you're going to be fine. If you've got 20 to 30, you're golden. You should also try to maximize the number of all heals that you can get and wake stones as well. These are all going to be very important to maintaining your character and completing these 4 combat quests because it is a little bit of a marathon. We can't rest due to some of the mechanics of the Unmoored World. So we want things that will cure our loss bar, our fatigue bar to give us full health again. And we'll want things that can revive us if we fall because dying in the Unmoored World does have some consequences. In terms of how powerful you want to be, about level 60 is fine. You could certainly do it at 50. You could certainly power level till 70 and you'll have an easier time. If you're anywhere in that about level 60 window, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be doing damage and you'll be able to progress through this without too much trouble. Finally, I'll make a bit of a vocation recommendation. Warfare is very good because it lets you adapt to the various situations and the enemies that are here. And again, we're going to be kind of on a marathon run. We want to have all the tools and the flexibility with us. If you're not going to do warfare, I would highly recommend Magic Archer, but you can make this work with anything. However, ranged and being able to hit small, quickly moving targets is going to be important here for the most difficult fight in the game. And to me, that just says Magic Archer because those arrows will lock on and home in on the spots that you're trying to hit. And that's really, really useful. But you can go big AoE attacks with the Sorcerer. You can do the melee thing if you want. But I recommend having access to the Magic Archer and those homing archers if at all possible. Okay, so we're fully prepped and ready to go. How do we get to the Unmoored World? Well, the first thing we need to do is complete the game the normal way. Defeat the end boss, the big dragon. Watch the credits roll. The credits will open up to the scene in the castle. Walk to the throne, sit on the throne, get the first achievement for beating the game, the base game, and watch the final credits roll and load back to the main title screen. When you do so, load from your last save. Don't start a new playthrough with your current equipment. Load from the last save, and that will put you back again to the beginning of the credits sequence. So you'll get some fanfare, some congratulations, and some cinematics, and then once again you'll enter the throne room. And instead of going to the throne this time, what we want to do is go and talk to the Pathfinder, that kind of glowy guy who's shown up at different points in the story to give us little bits of advice or direction. And if you're walking towards the throne, he'll be seated at a table back and to the left, near the throne, but to the left of the throne. Go and approach him, talk to him once. He'll give you a little bit of dialogue. He'll poof and vanish. He's actually right behind you now on that main path that you walked up into the throne room the first time to get to him. So just turn around, look away from the throne, go back towards the entrance, and he'll be standing there. Talk to him a second time, and that will once again play through a number of cinematics, a bit of dialogue, and then start a cinematic, and then a playable section where you are once again on the back of the big boss dragon.
You would still resist your fate. Understand you the folly of such a decision. Witness with your own eyes, or through the eyes of another, the fate of this world.
What you need to do from here is climb up the body of the dragon, go down towards its heart, and then open up your inventory, select the Empowered Godsbane, and use it, and you will then come back out of your inventory, and you will want to use it on yourself to once again start a number of cinematics and this will put you into the Unmoored World. After a whole bunch of talking and some cinematics and some strangeness, you will get dumped out into the Unmoored World. And doing so immediately unlocks our first achievement. This is Dragon's Dogma 2, Witness the Unmoored World. And this is where the fun begins. Now, the first thing we want to talk about are the rules for the Unmoored World, because time and how it passes here in the Unmoored World works very differently than in the base game, and there are some things that you can do that will completely screw up your ability to unlock all of the achievements. So let's talk about those now. The main thing we need to do is not rest. Do not go and sleep at an inn, at a house, anywhere. Don't go camp. You cannot rest until we have completed the 4 combat quests, which we will do at the end of this video. The map now has kind of a red fog surrounding the outer periphery of the map. If you go out to your map, you'll see this red fog out in the edges. Whenever you go to sleep for the night, the fog will advance in certain sections. And wherever that fog is, that part of the map is no longer accessible. So if the fog advances over a town or over a pillar of light, which is where these battles take place, you won't be able to access it and you'll be blocked from completing the associated achievements. So no resting until all 4 combats at the light pillars are complete. And this is the main reason why we want to make sure we have all heals and wake stones on us at all times. If your loss bar gets down to halfway, right, that's a pretty low health bar. You can take a big hit and you can be immediately knocked out. We want to have wake stones. And if you want to recover that loss bar before a big fight, that's what an all heal is for. Pawns are a little bit more easy to manage. You can go to one of the stones and swap out a pawn for a new pawn, and they'll come back. That new one will come in at full health. Similarly, you can do the same with your main pawn. If you have them get killed or resummon them, they'll come back with a full health bar as well. If you have plenty of all heals, you can give one of those to your main pawn as well, and they will use it to recover their loss bar. But just be sparing about that. Make sure you have enough all heals for yourself as the primary need here for this playthrough.
We trounced our foe well and true. Overconfidence is an enemy in and of itself. Let us instead strive to better ourselves with every battle. What has become of the world? Would that there was someone who could explain this madness. Come to think of it.
So now that we're in the Unmoored World, we are going to do a bit of a marathon here to complete all 4 of these combat quests without resting. This can be about a 2-hour run, given take based on how powerful your character is, how familiar you are, how good you are at the game. You can certainly speed run it in less than an hour. You can certainly slow walk it for more than 2, but set aside a chunk of time. You're not going to be able to go and do an in save, so be ready to get through this section of the playthrough with a nice little chunk of time that you've dedicated to it. Step 1 in the Unmoored World is to get our main pawn back. When we're dumped into the world, we do have the helper pawns, but we don't have our main pawn, so we have to go get them back. Thankfully, they are not too far away. They are up in the lab, in the Bach Batal kind of underground lab area. So we start on the shore, run up the hill, use the backdoor access across that little stone bridge to go into the lab, and right up the stairs in the room, have a little conversation, have a dialogue, and our main pawn will once again join us.
Shall we take a closer look?
Arisen. You yet live.
Oh, Master. How long I've slept? Far too long it seemed, but worry not. Now that I'm awake. A moment long awaited. I knew 'twas only a matter of time before your skills reached a new height. They do say good things come to those who wait.
Step number 2 is to get to the Seafloor Shrine. So this is kind of going back the way that we just came. If you want, you could go to the Seafloor Shrine first and then go get your main pawn. But doing anything without your main pawn puts you at risk. The enemies here are very difficult. You don't want to do anything with diminished power. So take a little bit of extra time, a little bit of an extra journey, go get your main pawn, backtrack back down the big hill, and now we can get to the Seafloor Shrine much easier because the water is gone. So we can just go in the dry lake bed and take a more direct path to the Seafloor Shrine. Now, on the way, I'm going to show the route at an accelerated speed and some of the combat that happens and some of the loot that I get because it's useful. If you're short on fairy stones, you can very easily get another 5 or 10 on the way to the Seafloor Shrine, and again on the second leg of the journey that I'll also show. So that's in there to help you find that. If you're stacked with fairy stones, you can skip all this combat. You don't need to engage these enemies. You can run past them. You can just like stop them in their tracks. You can kill one and just continue. It doesn't really matter. You want to, if at all possible, avoid taking hits, right? Because as your health bar diminishes, as your loss bar increases, it's hard to recover that unless you have a lot of the all heals and materials to do so. So focus on avoiding combat when necessary and getting to the Seafloor Shrine as quickly and efficiently as possible.
sensation filled me during my time with Lord Faces. Although I was wholly unconscious, I could still feel you were risen. No sense letting the enemy gain the upper hand. Early Britain gets the world, as they say. Your magical aid is different. Right, cast it anew. I charge up and bomb you. Sweet magic. All together now. The attack has won. Ireland and victory is at hand. Let's finish. I'll pick that up. We might have need of it. Chest. I'll examine its contents, shall I? My magics grant you an elemental boon. Ort fell from the beast as it breathed its last. You have my protection. Mayhap you will think this a trifle, but have you always pursued your current vocation over the course of your journey with the Arisen? We are to retreat then? Little does our foe realize how narrowly they escaped death's touch. Right you are. Really now, you mustn't shirk your duty, lest you forget 'tis the Arisen we serve here. Will someone not explain what is happening? In truth, I cannot help but fear what lies ahead. Yet I shall defend our master's world all the same.
When we get to the Seafloor Shrine, there's a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of story, and very importantly, the Dragon Forged has moved here, and he has now an improved selection of items. It's the best stuff in the game. Kind of disappointing that you just buy this stuff and you buy it now when we're so close to being done with the game. Unless, of course, you're going to do New Game Plus, then great, you'll get to play with this stuff a whole bunch. But otherwise, you know, we're going to have it for another hour or two, a couple of fights, a slight letdown, but it is what it is. You buy everything from the Dragon Forge with Wyrm's Life Crystal, so hopefully you've built up a good stockpile. Before you waste all of that currency, there is one item that we absolutely need to purchase from the Dragon Forged to get an achievement. It's the Dragon's Dogma Sword, which I don't do until later. You will get a bunch of the crystals during this playthrough by completing the quest, so no worries if you don't have enough right at the start. I save this towards close to the end. Just have in the back of your mind, at some point before the end, I need 110 of those crystals to purchase that sword to get an achievement.
harness. Then I bid ye farewell.
No purchases to be made today, I see. I just hope the shopkeep understands.
With all of that out of the way at the Seafloor Shrine, the next thing we're going to do is jump into these combats. Around the map, at the beginning of our entry into the Unmoored World, we were shown 4 pillars of light scattered around the map. We need to go to each of those pillars and engage with a combat mission to complete that challenge, and doing all 4 will complete the quest and unlock an achievement, and also unlock our ability to rest without the fog continuing to advance. And these 4 combat trials are not created equal. One is by far the hardest. The second one is much easier, but the second hardest. And then the third is a cinematic, which you do almost nothing for. And the fourth is a little bit of a walk and fetch quest. So very disparaging in terms of the ranks. One's way harder and the fourth one's super, super easy. We're gonna do the hard one first, because if you die in the Unmoored World, you go back to your last in save. And remember, we can't do in saves, so you're gonna go back to your entrance into the Unmoored World. So we wanna make sure that we can complete that hardest combat first, and then the other ones will be easier, and then we can save at the end. If we do the second, third, and fourth quests, and then we go to do the hardest quest and we fail that one, we've lost all that progress again. So make sure you can beat the hardest one first, and then go and do the easier and easier and easier ones, so that if we mess up, there's less repeat and rerun that we have to do. The most difficult one of these challenges is definitely the one near the Vernworth castle. So what you can do, and what I recommend you do, is just take a fairy stone and go to the port crystal in Vernworth, in the castle, and run down to the light. It's not in the city, it's down in the dry kind of riverbed that's just away from the castle. But what I'm going to do here is once again run from the Seafloor Shrine to that light to show you the path, but also show you there is a ton of loot on the way, including a ton of fairy crystals. Again, if you came in and you're short on fairy crystals and you didn't get enough getting to the Seafloor Shrine, you can get a whole bunch more on the way to this first pillar, as well as a ton of experience fighting the enemies, rare drop materials. The enemies that you fight here have some of those third and final upgrade materials that in the base game you're like, where do I get this thing? Where do I find that dark scale to upgrade my armor? This is where you find it. So I have that in, again, at accelerated speed. I'll show you the run. There are some very tough enemies on the way here, some bosses, some rare bosses. If you're looking for the Doulahan, one of those is here. Some other things that are very challenging to fight. And remember, all of these things that you're fighting are increasing your loss gauge and reducing your max HP. So be aware of that and be careful, and use those all heals sparingly, because you're going to definitely want one before the boss fight here at that pillar of light.
dark enough to warrant the use of your lantern, Master. By your command, Arisen. Arisen, I know of at least one location in the vicinity that may be of interest to you. Shall I tell you more? All that matters is that the Arisen is unharmed. In traversing other worlds, I came to know of a treasure chest in this area. A chance you'd like to see it? One moment. I believe we are bound for... Yes, I know the place. Pray, allow me to show you the way. I suppose we ought to make for our destination. Would you mind coming over here? Look there. Methinks I spy aught of use. Let us ponder how best to proceed. The theme of fight is not yet done. Battle cannot be avoided. It's fight or die. Very well, if I must. There's no small wonder that ox carts... I'd not thought we'd find one here. A splendid discovery. Interesting. I shall have to inform my own master of this. We have reached a destination. trounced our foe well and true. Overconfidence is an enemy in and of itself. Let us instead strive to better ourselves with every battle. You have my protection. That there is a Dullahan. Fell from the beast. Who did this? Let me get that. As a matter of fact, every master I've ever served has favored different tactics. One party I joined consisted only of ranged specialists. Now there's a thought. Most impressive, Master! The sea must catch up today! Are we told to be proud? Let my magics grant you an elemental boon. to your magic. Your magical aid dissipates. Strength, faster in you. I shan't let them harm you. Press on without delay. By your will, Arisen. Let us defer to the Arisen's judgment. I suppose 'tis so? taking every ounce of my strength just to remain standing. Will this march never end? I fear for our chances if we were to be set upon now. I will finish this, here and now. Not bad. Let's know where that came from. Well said. One might confidently call that a resounding victory. No doubt this triumph will spur us into the next.
Just before approaching that pillar of light, make sure you take an all heal. Maybe you want to give one to your main pawn as well, especially if yours is a tank like mine was. You want them to be able to take some hits and not go down immediately. The boss that we're about to fight has some very high damage attacks, and it's dangerous to run in and try and revive a pawn when they might trigger an attack. The boss might trigger an attack on the location while you're standing still and trying to do that revive. So heal up your main pawn, heal up yourself, and then let's start this fight. It is the most difficult part of the Unmoored World, without a doubt. To start the fight, we simply approach the pillar, we use the God's Bane when we're prompted to, and our enemy that we're going to fight is a special crystal corrupted dragon. I believe it's called a Purgener, and it is going to fly in and land, and we're going to fight in this this arena that is kind of set up here. It's open, there's not a lot of cover, but it is a fairly large space that you can run around and create some distance from the boss as you need to. The fight is kind of formulaic, but it is very, very difficult. The boss can do a ton of damage very quickly and can wipe out pawns and can do big area attacks and all this kind of crazy stuff. So make sure you've got your wake stones ready, make sure you're fully topped off. What we're going to need to do here is hit weak spots. The dragon, the Purgener, is only vulnerable on these little pink dots that show up on its body, and they show up in a series. So like it could be on the two front arms, you'll have like 12 of these little dots all in a row. That's the weak spot. So again, Magic Archer is great here because you can do your target, it'll highlight them all, and then you can release a bunch of arrows all at once, and they'll fly and seek each of those targets. The challenging part is that the rest of the dragon's body is invulnerable, and it can block that. So the weak spots will move throughout the fight. So they may start on those two front arms. So then you need to be in front of the dragon so that your arrows will fly to those front arms, right? If you go off to the side, and even if you have them targeted, if you use the homing feature of the magic arrows, you've got the weak points all lit up, but you're on the side of the dragon, and you let your arrows loose and they hit the wing will block and you'll do no damage and you won't have made any progress. So you need to be in a direct line of sight to those weak spots, and as I said, they'll move. So they'll start on the arms, they'll go to the chest, they'll go to the wings, they'll go to the back or the tail, and wherever they are, wherever they move to, you're gonna have to adjust your angle of the fight so you have a direct line of sight to those weak points so that you can do damage to them. Now, if you're bringing in a mage, I didn't try this myself, so I don't know this works, but I'm pretty sure it would. Let me know in the comments what class you decided to use to defeat this boss. But if you bring in a big AoE, the meteor spell for the sorcerer or whatever, that should work as well because it's going to hit and impact that whole area, that whole big damage. As long as, I imagine if the weak point's on the back and the meteor hits in front of the dragon, its body may block the back, but you're going to be doing enough damage. If you have some big swirling AoEs, you'll get those weak points and you'll do some damage. Now, the dragon does have, as I said, some very powerful attacks, most directed to the front. So it can do like a lightning blast attack on the ground in front of it, and it'll kind of rear back when it's doing this. It's a good idea to call your pawn to you when you see this happening, because if you just let them sit there and tank it, they're gonna go down, and they're gonna go down very quickly. It also does the little lightning spots will show up on the ground. It'll like summon with the red sphere, and then you'll see the little lightning points around the map. Call your pawns to you, run, avoid those circles while that magic goes off, and then tell them to attack and go back in again once that spell is over, and hopefully they will avoid most of the damage, and you will as well.
I shall see to it.
Our foe is blessed in swiftness, yet the terrain is in our favor.
Curative magics are at your disposal. Wait right there.
You must assess the situation. How many of us are still standing?
At certain points, the dragon does a 4 tornado attack that spins these 4 tornadoes in a spiral pattern that slowly expands out farther and farther. Maybe you just avoid that one. Retreat, call your pawns to you, stay back really far, let those tornadoes spin out, then send the pawns back in, then reposition yourself and continue to do damage to the dragon. Don't be afraid to use your all heal. If you're halfway through the fight and your loss gauge has taken half your max HP, put an all heal down. This is what it's for. This is the fight. This is why you save them. If you can beat this, you can beat everything else easily. So don't save 10 all heals for after this fight. You will not need them.
Very well. I shall return.
Come, let me watch you wings.
Every so often, after you've done enough damage, the dragon will collapse. You can knock them down and then run in and hit those weak spots. So again, warfare is great here because you can be magic archer. You can use the homing arrows to hit those weak spots, which may be high up. You don't want to be climbing on this thing trying to stab them, right? That sounds crazy. So use magic archer, hit those weak spots. It collapses. Then you switch to your thief, pull out the dual daggers, and run in and start doing big time hits to those weak spots with the dragon on the ground while it's stationary and put out those big hits of damage. Eventually the dragon will go down, and it does have that like crystal horn on its head, and if you can destroy that, it's an instant kill on the dragon. So if you've got like a big melee hit, I think you can hit that thing early and take it out. I did kind of focus on like when the weak spots were on the back and it collapsed, I went and hit those weak spots. I'm not sure if you can do it early. You might want to try it once. Oh, the dragon went down. Let me see if I can get some big hits right in on that crystal horn. If you destroy that, it's an instant kill for the dragon and the fight is over. But I think you might need to work through a couple of drop downs of topples for the boss until you can hit the horn and do damage to it. And then again, destroying that will instantly defeat the boss. When the dragon is down, things are looking up. That is the toughest fight. If you can do that, you can do the rest. The rest is a cakewalk compared to this first fight. So breathe a sigh of relief, but don't go rest because we're not done yet. The second boss that we're going to need to fight is in the Arbor Heart, in that sacred arbor, the elves' town far to the north. So I'm not going to walk now to this one. You should have enough fairy stones based on the first two paths that we took. So we shouldn't need to walk anymore, and I'm not going to do so in this video. Of course you can. Of course you can explore. Feel free to do that. But remember, if you die, you're going to have to do this Purgener fight again, which I highly recommend not doing. So I would say finish these 4 combats, and then you can do your exploration because we'll be able to save once those are done, and then you won't have to redo those fights. So it's a fairy stone to the Arbor Heart, to the Sacred Harbor, to fight the next boss at the second Pillar of Light. And this fight is kind of the nerfed version of the previous fight. I think it's still called a Purgener, but it's just a worm instead of a dragon. It doesn't fly, it moves much slower. It's got like a big snake body similar to the Medusa, and very similar to the previous fight. It has glowing line of weak spots that are on its body. They start at the tail, and as you destroy them, those parts of the body kind of blacken and decay, and the next weak spot is just the next section of the body. So it starts at the tail and works towards the head. Same rules apply. You need to have line of sight to the tail. So if the tail is the weak spot and you're standing in front and you're hitting the chest, the upper body of the thing, you're hitting its head, you're not doing damage. You need to get around to the side or to the back and send in your damage to hit those weak points directly. This is such an easier fight than the previous dragon. It moves so much slower. It has similar attacks. It can still do a ton of damage. You can still get caught out. Make sure you have your all heal and your wake stones. But if you did the dragon fight and you understood those mechanics, this will now be much easier, and it will feel like playing the game on easy mode compared to that fight. Once again, it does have that crystal horn. Weirdly, I don't think I even destroyed this one. I think I just did enough damage and it died without destroying the horn, unlike the dragon. Your mileage may vary there, but work your way up the body, hit the weak spots, it'll collapse, run in, do big damage to those weak spots, work your way up the body. Eventually, you're going to focus on the horn and destroy this thing, and that will be 2 of the 4 challenges complete.
We have no means of exploiting our enemy's weakness. way! This battle is ours! The fiends move nimbly by clinging to the terrain. Try to keep it within your gaze at all times.
We can get close enough. Nobody comes to us. We might just be able to find them.
You are in need of healing. Allow me. Wait right there. The product of heedlessness.
That'll help you. Is anyone else fighting them all?
Forgive me for being a burden.
There's a bit of weight on your face. Jump up and I'll send you flying.
Not far to go now. Keep your focus. No harm shall come to you. Let my magic imbue your weapon with the fury of the elements.
By some miracle. Now this region shall be safe, at least for the time being.
As your pack becomes heavier, so too does your step. Perchance you ought to let a few things go.
Come to think of it, our ranks have gone unchanged for a while now. That explains the harmony betwixt us.
And the other two challenges are weirdly very different and way less challenging. So next we're going to go to the volcanic island. Again, Fairy Stone. This is a very long run. We do not want to have to make, that would be a long trek. Ox carts don't run in the Unmoored World. So we're going to use the Fairy Stone and go to the volcanic island camp. And we're going to run from there to that location where the Talos statue stopped moving, based in our normal mode pre-Unmoored World playthrough where it stopped. Hopefully, if you use the unmaking arrow like I did, it should be in the exact same location that you'll see me run to. If you did something different, if the fight took longer, then your statue may be in a slightly different location.
We can convince them to join the evacuation.
Tis as you say.
Should your pack grow over full, have no fear. I'll lighten your
Tis a ballista arisen. Ha ha! I can think of all manner of uses for a contraption such as this. Might we not lay a trap for our enemies?
I'll go and open the chest.
We all urge the people to flee to the Seafloor shrine. We may only be buying.
I have supplied the body with magic aplenty, yet seen nary so much as a twitch. 'Tis clear aught is lacking. But what? Furthermore, I still cannot fathom why Talos sought to obstruct us in the first place. Could it be 'twas influenced by the Worldforged, the being with whom you supposedly made contact in the sea's depths? And if so...
Ah, I'll take that. We might find a use for it.
When we get to the statue, Ambrosis is there. Talk to him and then approach the statue, and your pawn will power up the statue, take over, and start walking away in a cinematic to go do a fight for you.
Behold! It moves! Though what impelled it, I cannot say.
And this will unlock our second achievement of the Unmoored World. This is I, Talos. You get 10 gamer score for helping the giant walk again. And that's all you had to do, was approach it, and your pawn takes over, and the whole next fight is just cinematics. All you need to do is stand around and watch. It's a cool fight. It's kind of interesting and fun to watch, but you don't participate at all. It takes place a mile away, and it's actually, I think it's 3 separate cutscenes. So you'll see a cutscene, you'll see a fight, and then it'll cut back to your character, and you're kind of just like walking around wondering what to do. Don't do anything. Just chill out, stay there, don't fall, don't get hurt, don't die. Hang out where you're at. You can look off in the distance, and after 30 seconds or so, the second round of the fight will start. After 30 seconds or so, the third round of the fight will start, and your pawn and the Talos giant statue will take care of it all for you. And at the end of it, this third pillar of light challenge will be complete. So just one more left. What we're going to do is once again take a fairy stone, and we're going to Batal, the capital city of the Beastren lands. And when we get there, start walking to the palace where the Empress is located. And just before we get there, the palace guard that we talked to a whole bunch in the base game will run up and talk to us, and then we'll, I think, also see Ambrosius. And then something from the sky will fall right in front of the entrance to the temple. It's like a corrupted statue, and we need to destroy this thing to prevent another boss fight from happening. I don't think you can fail it. I don't think the boss will show up if you take too long, but it's just a different kind of mission. Rather than fighting the boss, we're like preventing it from showing up.
And unite our efforts towards it.
You saw the sky fall, I trust. I doubt you could have missed it. And wherever the sky falls, a dragon soon appears to lay waste to the land. Or so I had assumed, after what befell Melv. Yet aught here appears to be different. Has our ruin been forestalled? Or merely...
Now, it's right in front of us, but no, it's not that easy. You can't just walk towards it. Your path gets blocked. So we need to turn around and take a very meandering, indirect path to get back to this statue. So pull a 180, start going. The game does give you kind of like quest markers. There's this little shortcut that's a path off to the side. Go up there, go over a bridge that collapses. There are fights along the way. Some like shadow orcs get spawned in periodically throughout it. They're not very challenging.
Monsters! Summoned by that beast, no doubt.
I will protect you.
Let my magics grant you an elemental boon.
That's what I'm talking about!
I'll crush you if you keep that up. Making you lose freeze, eh? Nothing I thought.
Come, let me catch you wings.
Principles unproven as dust.
There are too many of them. Better be cut down.
It seems this is the only way forward. Up we go. fine welcome indeed. I can only hope that the worst is now.
As we approach that crop field, there is a meteor attack, and these meteors can hit hard. They can one-shot you. They can one-shot Ambrosius. We're like escorting him, and we don't really want him to go down. So if you're using either Warfare or the Mystic Spear Hand, you have that shield ability. Highly recommend it here. Put the shield up as you're running through this area. In case you get hit by a meteor, the shield will absorb the damage. If Ambrosius goes down, make sure you keep an eye on him. If you go down by taking one of these meteor hits, use a Wake Stone, get yourself back up. We are so close to the end here. We do not want to have to redo everything that we just did, but that is the price you will pay. If you go down here, we have to redo everything in the Unmoored World up to this point. So the price of failure is very high. Be very careful. Don't take it lightly, but it's not that difficult if you're being careful, if you're watching. However, the meteors are a little bit random, so don't fall off a cliff. Don't walk near the edge. Keep that shield up. Keep some Wake Stones on hand. And we're going to make our way through this grass field.
Cut one monster down and two more replace it. We ought to ignore the rabble and focus on our true objective.
I am hard pressed.
What can be achieved without sacrifice?
And we're going to go back down into that same underground lab entrance that we used to get our main pawn. And now we're going to wind our way up through that lab, up to the palace, and then go out the front door of the palace. And as we go out the front door, now we're protected. We're inside the archway. The corrupted statue is just right at the end of that passageway.
Alas, a theory unproven is
Read your senses. If aught feels out of place, it could very well be a trap. Pray, speak up should you notice aught amiss.
few know the real picture.
There are too many of them. Better we cut down only those we must to proceed.
The tide is turning against us.
There it is, the dragon at the heart of all this destruction.
Lots of enemies. Don't just run in there blind. You'll get ambushed. You'll get ganked. But stay back, do damage, walk up slowly, go through the enemies one by one, and you'll get to the statue. Hit it once, it's destroyed, and then we've completed all 4 challenges in the Unmoored World. And that gets us our 3rd achievement of the Unmoored World. That is the hero 30 gamer score for completing all of the trials in the Unmoored World. And that's the tough part. Now we're good. And by doing that, by completing all 4 of the trials of the challenges, now the red fog won't advance when we rest. So let's go rest. Because now we've gotten through that. You should be in Batal. You should have a house here. If not, just go use the inn, do a night's rest, recover your lost bar, and we're putting down a hard save so that if we screw anything else up from this point on, we will be able to reload our last inn save, which will be now rather than the beginning of the Unmoored World. So we won't have to redo any of those boss fights. We'll have locked in our progress. We can rest now. If you want to explore, this will be the time to do so. But what we're going to do in the next video, we'll pick up from here and we'll complete the fetch quests to do the evacuation of the major cities in the Unmoored World to finish up all of the achievements in Dragon's Dogma 2. So hopefully you found the video useful. If you did, tune in for the next one where we'll finish things up. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Ah, how I've longed to embrace my bedroll.